Hello, what's good, everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name is Disetso, and you're tuned into a safe space where we have hard conversations on life, love, and all things healing. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time, or you've been tuning in and you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, guys. It'll mean a lot to me. It's very encouraging to see those numbers growing, and we are almost on a 5K subscribers. So if you're watching right now, take a moment, pause, and subscribe to my channel. Cool. Now that we're done, I said in the intro video that I would like, to make this place a safe space for you and for myself as well. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine over the weekend, and I said when I was going through the most, and not just speaking on divorce, but when I was going through like the most in my life, I went on YouTube and I was looking for specific content that would help me put, language to certain things that I was feeling, certain things that I was going through that my friends wouldn't necessarily understand because they were not in my shoes, or also I wouldn't be able to express because I didn't really know what it was I was going through. And I told her I want to create content like that, so that when people search my name, they find exactly what they are looking for. We may not share the same experiences, but I know that somehow the way I chose to process certain feelings, certain experiences may help somebody, right? And that's why we have our healing membership thingamabob on YouTube, right? And I'd like to invite you, actually, if you are one person who says I want to be intentional about my healing, I want to be able to put language to what I'm going through, to what somebody else that's in my life that I love is going through, then I invite you to click that join button. From as little as R9.99 a month, you can get you'll get privy to that kind of content. It'll not just be me posting videos or just me talking, but we will be engaging together as a community. We will also be having group counseling sessions, one-on-one sessions, obviously depending on which tier you choose, and also because I have health professionals that I am bringing on, and I would have to pay them a certain fee. That's going to work out cheaper for you than ordinary therapy, but only if it's something that you're looking for, honestly. So click the join button if you would like to be a part of that. I will be sharing things more explicitly in that membership crew, and so that I can fully express myself without having to make these kind of videos that I'm going to make right now. If you feel like, okay, I'm not sure if I need healing, if I'm healed already, but you would like to support the ministry or this video or this YouTube channel, then you can also just subscribe according to how you are led. Right. Now that we're done with the nitty-gritties, I would like to just say, before we get into the video, do not marry a divorced woman, because they are broken. They have been broken. They are quite impulsive, quite emotional sometimes, and they are not for people who have not done the work themselves. So if you are considering marrying a divorced woman and you have not done the work, I suggest you don't marry them. Let's get into the video. So for the sake of this video, I am going to refer to my notes a lot, because I realize how emotional this made me feel, and I don't want to respond out of emotion, and I really want to get this message across. A few videos ago, I think 2 videos ago, there are weird comments that I got from people, and it wasn't the first time I'm receiving these comments. I've received them. There was a trending video that went out on Twitter as well that was just bashing a lot of divorced women coming out to speak about their experiences, and a lot of misunderstanding, misinterpretation that came out of those things. You know how people just take a bit of what people say in videos and run with it. That was what happened. And one of the comments actually that came through on one of the videos, there's I don't know if this is a guy, but I'm assuming it's a guy, that said that this is why I really want to read it. Hold on, I want to read it. Okay, I'm back. I'm going to put it up here, but I'm also going to read it. And it says, I hope from the situations like these, people or women will understand why some religions, cultures, and people in general are always advising men to stay away from divorced and single mothers. Not that it's a good thing or I'm saying it's fair, but it's because most of them come with all sorts of baggage, wounds, and traumas from the dark past, and some are still stuck back there on their one way or the other, if not for life. Very less chances of that women bringing peace and harmony into a new man's life. It's very tricky dealing with these survivors or victims, if I can call them that. Yes, they are not to blame, well, some of them, but they still carry the negativity with them and they will transfer it wherever they go, right? And then he continues to say, commenting on the video I made, and he says that how is another man supposed to feel knowing that his new woman is still praying for his ex-husband? And I read that comment when it came through. I screenshotted it and I sent it to a friend of mine. I was fuming, and not because I was like, no, this person, how can they say something like that? But I think it triggered something in me that I was suppressing. When the Twitter trend came out, I had a guest on my channel, and this guest, we were talking about, how she got to get divorced and her spiritual journey and all of that, and how she grew up, right? And somebody took a clip of what she was saying and they ran with it, and they started bashing, divorced women. They started speaking about how we gather other divorced women and we sit down and we just are bitter souls that are inflicting this bitterness into other women, how basically saying all these terrible things and alluding to what this comment says, that we don't deserve to be married again. Like, who will marry such women? And in the beginning when that happened, I kept quiet because I was just like, this person doesn't really, these people don't even know, they're taking this thing out of context. But I then, when I received this, I was like, I had a choice to keep quiet again, like I've always been. It's not the first comment I received. There's someone also who commented here who said that God will never tell me to pray for my ex-husband because God doesn't, God hates divorce. That's a story for another day. But I sat and I said, if I have women who are in a state where they are either contemplating divorce or they are divorced, and if they are feeling how I was feeling in the early days, coming across such a comment will be so discouraging. And I decided that I will respond. I did respond to the comment, but I also decided I'm going to do this video because of how people want to. I want to euphemize a lot of things I want to say because I don't want to offend people, but I'm also like, people are not afraid of offending us. So I'm very conflicted, and the Holy Spirit will help me. But because people want to impose how they think they would heal if they were in your situation, having not been in your situation, then it becomes really hard. It becomes really hard, especially for a person who's breaking and reading that, and already you're feeling worthless. Already you're feeling like, damn, will I ever be loved again? Damn, will I be worth of starting a family again? So already you're feeling those things, and to read those kind of comments that kind of affirm what the enemy is speaking into your ear is really damaging. It's really, really damaging. So today we're speaking shortly, and I can't go thoroughly into it, but we're speaking about healing after divorce, especially as a single mom, because I relate to that, and just debugging, or rather demystifying, or whatever word you want to use, these stigmas that are out there, and share my own experiences. And I hope that helps somebody. And I hope if there's anybody who comes across these kind of comments, or if they're just sitting and they're thinking these thoughts themselves, that this brings you to a peace of mind, or eases your anxiety, to say that, ma'am, what people are saying about divorcees is not what God is saying. It's not what God thinks about you. They may think that because they don't even know the kind of pain that you deal with behind closed doors. But what matters is what God says. What matters right now is what God says. Right, let's get into it. So if you've been told that you come across as too much, you have too much baggage, and you're stuck in the past and all of that, this video is for you. I've been told that so many times. I have been told that so many times that I was afraid to express my feelings. I think I did allude in some videos that I've made that I got a backlash. I got a backlash from my ex's family, my ex, and all of that. Not from my family per se. And some of my friends were also saying, "Oh, you're sharing too much, maybe, and it was there, and it put so much doubt in the journey itself, and it almost brought me to a place where I was suppressing my feelings to try and impress others that are around me. But I'm so glad that I stuck through it, and I'm here today, right? And it happened, I think it was after I shot that video with Promise Magunyani. I got messages, that comments like, "You are idolizing your pain, you're not the first one to ever get divorced," things like, there's a lot of comments and backlash that I got, and it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's in discussions, it's in comments, it's in subs. There are a lot of things that we can feed on while we're in pain that could set us back. Yes, that could set us back. And people just assume that if you've been through a divorce, then you are stained. Literally, you walk around, and once people find out that you are divorced, it's as if you are walking around with this stain, that you are doomed for life, and that you are stuck in the past, and there's no way God can redeem you from that place. And the fact that people think that you are unable to contribute to a successful marriage after a failed marriage, that's what literally blows my mind, and about how people are and how much they lack compassion. And yes, I'm talking about divorce, but it's with other things as well, other things that cause you to grieve. And I just want to continue to say that, healing is possible for anyone. And just because you are the one with the obvious brokenness, you're divorced, doesn't mean the one who's not divorced with the hidden brokenness can do better than you. They can't, if they're not putting in the work to heal as well, or in other areas that are not necessarily a divorce. But if you are divorced and you're putting in the necessary work to heal, then we can't just say, because I'm divorced, the person who's not divorced has a better chance than me. You're putting in the healing work, you're putting in all the necessary, work to make sure that you're healing from your past, you're healing from your hurt. And also you are very careful about the kind of relationships you get into, because you don't want to get into a relationship with someone who's also unhealed, because it's something that we don't talk about. And I refer a lot to the people with the obvious brokenness, because I am that. My story and everything else that I've been through will allude to the fact that I have the obvious brokenness. And if I was to be put next to a person who has not necessarily disclosed what they've been through, or has not necessarily confronted what they've been through, then I would always be the culprit, because my brokenness is apparent. It is obvious. It's like when you're in church and you fall pregnant, the one with the sin is the one who's pregnant, whom you can see that the belly is there. But the father doesn't really face, the backlash and all that the pregnant lady will face. And that's just the reality of it. And that's sad. It's sad to even, acknowledge the fact that it's happening even in the church, that a person who gossips will be excused than a person who's been divorced, that a person who's sleeping with the pastor will be excused than the one who's divorced. Because who knows about this relation that the pastor is having with this person, Anyway, we're not talking about that kind of politics. I'm talking about the fact that recognizing your pain is what gives you the power to be able to stand out of the stigma, the stereotypes that people are trying to enforce on you. It's so important. Like from my past experience, and even now as I'm healing, I take time to reflect. I take time to seek help. I take time to heal parts that are triggered by certain things. And I thank God. Look, I know that, divorce is such a taboo thing to talk about. And I know how uncomfortable it is for people that are close to me to watch my videos. But somehow I thank God that He's brought me to a place where now I'm more intentional about my healing. Like every time I see something and it makes me feel a certain way, I'm quick to want to confront the pain, because why am I feeling this? Where does this come from? Being at that place takes a lot of courage. To overlook everything else that everybody's saying takes a lot of courage. So here's my story. Well, a bit of it. After my divorce, I went through a really tough time. I questioned my worth. I questioned whether I'll be able to be a good mom. I questioned whether I'll be able to love again, or whether I will be loved, or questioned whether I was worthy of being loved, with all this baggage that I'm carrying. Now, you see what that does? It made me look at my children as baggage, that I'm going to go into a relationship with baggage. And those are my kids. Those are my kids that I love, that God has blessed me with. But because of everything else that people were feeding into my mind and into my emotions, I then started to see it that way. I started saying things like, oh, maybe if I just had one child, or maybe if I had not done this and that. But I knew that in order for me to move forward, I needed to confront these feelings and name them and say, where do these feelings come from? They're not from me. They're certainly not from God. So they don't belong anywhere near my thoughts, and to work on myself in that way. So there's an incident where I was sitting with my pastor and we were talking about, this divorce journey and all of that. And he asked me if I wanted to get married again. And without thinking twice, I said, yeah, of course I want to get married again. What do you mean? And he's like, I'm glad that you've not given up on love. But I knew deep inside of me, I was like, I don't know if I can be loved the way I know I deserve to be loved. And also, who am I to say I deserve to be loved a certain way when I come with all these things? And then he asked me a question and he said, what kind of man do you want? Do you want a man who's been married before? Do you want a man without kids? And to be honest, before I was like, no, I don't want a man who has kids. And I don't know where that came from. I just said, no, if he doesn't have kids, it's better, or something like that. And the reasoning was so that if he has kids, it means his kids will be living with the mom, and then my kids would have to move in with him, and then I didn't want that burden. I didn't want to give him the burden of taking care of my kids alone. But if, for example, he had the kids and he was staying with the kids and I'm bringing mine in there, it would have been a different thing. But what are the odds that the kids don't stay with their mom, And I told him, like, before I wouldn't mind a man who didn't have kids. It was ideal for me. But now I'm starting to rethink that maybe I need a man who's been divorced, who knows how it feels to be broken, who has worked through their stuff, and who has kids as well, because they will know that there's a shared responsibility. I have a shared responsibility to him and to my kids as well, and same with him to me and his kids, right? And then he said, wow, you have been so broken that you are even negotiating what you truly deserve. And I took that and I'm like, I need to go confront where that comes from. this reasoning behind me being a baggage. Where does it come from? And yeah, so therapy is great, and I needed something more concrete for me to hold on to. So I had to go into now my faith, to lean into my faith and surround myself with people that would speak something different. And I was so careful about what I read. I was careful about who I follow. And I was careful about, sharing certain things with people, because I knew I was protecting my mind. And over time, I began to heal my perspective. I began to realize that my past, I cannot carry my past to define where I'm going and who I am right now. Accepting my past doesn't mean I have to now say, I am this person who has a baggage, and my a person who marries me will accept me with my baggage. No, I come as a full package, and this full package comes with other two eyes. That's just how it is. And it's important. It was so important for me to keep telling myself that thing, that you come as a full package. There's nothing missing in you. You are doing the work to make sure that you don't bleed on other people. You don't bleed on your children. So why then do you think that another man needs to receive something that's lesser than who you actually are? Because you thinking you're a baggage automatically means that when you go into a marriage, you're going to decrease who you are, trying to compensate who you think the next person wants you to be, and then compensate for anyway. Yeah. Also, praying for my ex came with the understanding that I cannot carry the burden of the hurt he has caused me into another marriage. So me praying for him is enforcing a culture of forgiveness, because this person is going to be a part of my life forever. Whether I like it or not, whether the next person who wants to be in my life likes it or not, he is the father of my children. And if I don't have a good relationship with him, whether in thought, whether in speech, and look, I'm trying my best, right? And if those two things are not in check, it will then taint how my partner views him. And how he views him then has an effect on our relationship with our kids. Right? So my decision to obey when God said pray for him, it was not only self-seeking, but it was also that God can deal with my heart, because that's what forgiveness does. And as much as we're saying, oh, forgive him so that you can release yourself or whatnot, it is also about God dealing with the dealings of your heart. That part that says that you need to treat your ex like trash because he treated you like trash. That part that wants revenge. And it's a great deal. It was a great deal that I didn't even know that it existed in my heart until God said, I need you to pray for him. And every time you're praying for this person, he begins to help you pray for your heart first before you can bring the next person to say they did this and this and that. He says, come closer. Let's take the log out of your eyes first so that you can freely pray for the person you're praying for. So I'm not praying for him because I want him back. I'm not praying for him because I don't know. And if I get a man who gets insecure about that, then I definitely know that I chose wrong. And please, if you're my friend and I'm married to such a person, please drag me out of that relationship, because there's no way that a matured, healing man, self-aware man can be triggered or threatened by you extending forgiveness to a person who's hurt you. Never. So let's talk about this stereotype myth that divorced people bring chaos into marriages and past baggages, and they're always stuck. Now there's a little bit of truth in this, but now because how people are, they then distort the truth. Now the truth in this only exists if one, the divorced person, and this is not just for women, men too, the divorced person has not done the work to heal, is not healing, and has not come to a point where they are also self-aware. So when you're divorced, you need to come to a point where, yes, you acknowledge that you have been pained, but you admit the fact that there are certain things that you could have done differently that you need to now heal from and learn from, right? So now that you know the things that that were your fault, you don't shame yourself and you don't allow other people to shame yourself. You then go and you confront those places and you ask yourself, what is it that I've been doing and why do I do these things, and you write them down and you talk through with them, with your therapist, with your community of healing people, and you get an understanding and a healthy self-awareness. There's something that a friend therapist of mine said to me, and she said to me, the problem with you is that you are overly self-aware. And I was like, but you guys tell us we need to be self-aware. What do you mean? I was talking about a relationship situation that I was in, and she said to me, you are overly self-aware, and you expect the next person to also be as self-aware as you are. So I knew I had to sit back and be like, shoo, I expect people to be able to confront their brokenness and heal at the same level that I do. And not that I'm bragging or anything, but it is really, it is quite high compared to men. Men literally are afraid, some men are afraid of healing. So I would then expect the next person to heal the same way I'm healing, right? And that's what brings chaos. I'm healing, right? I am healing and I'm self-aware, and in the eyes and in the books I'm doing well and I'm ready for marriage. But the chaos would be then not understanding that self-awareness is also a journey and you cannot rush another person into that self-awareness. So it's true in the fact that if you don't do the healing, you'll bring chaos into the marriage. And it's also true in the fact that if you don't understand how healing works and how personal it is, you will then expect the next person to overly show up in a way that is out of their range. You get what I mean? And that does cause a problem. But if you're in a place that you are healing, you are doing the work, and you meet a person who's healing, who's also doing the work, you guys are able to sit down and be like, you are here, I'm here, let's get here. Or I'm here, you are here, let's come find a middle ground so that we can move up together. Because the thing about a healing person, you're divorced, you've experienced a lot of things, and in your cognitive mind, you are aware of the fact that certain things will bring this kind of chaos, or certain things will bring this kind of argument, and it's either you avoid it or you know how to deal with it, So yeah, it's true that it can be chaotic. It can be chaotic, but it can be such a beautiful mess when you have two people who are matured and willing to walk with each other during and through this healing journey, right? And it's okay to fall. One of the biggest messages, or rather advices, that I got when I was married and we had marriage counseling, the pastor said to us that you are two people bringing your own rubble together. And if you're working with God to fix yourself, this rubble then creates this beautiful thing out of brokenness. And the danger is with broken people, with divorced women, they know how to pick up the pieces and make themselves beautiful. So they come across as stubborn, they come across as independent, because they know the cost of being broken. And if you're bringing a person into my life that is not aware of the fact that, man, sir, I can break and I can pick myself back up, they'll be threatened. So it's very important to look at both ends of the coin, that maybe perhaps you feel that I'm bringing chaos because I remind you of certain incidents or certain things in you that you have not dealt with. How about that? How about the fact that it's not the fact that I have the obvious brokenness that makes me broken, but the fact that you were taught and you grew up knowing that you're not supposed to be broken. So any sight or sign of brokenness is a threat to you, and you try to silence it in others and in yourself. So who brings the chaos in that case? Right? If you're in this journey right now, I just want you to know that your past doesn't define you or your ability or inability to create a bright and peaceful future with whoever God brings in your life. So as I conclude, and if you're in a place where you feel broken and you feel judged for being divorced, for being a single mom or a single dad, or for just grieving and not being able to come out of that place, I want to tell you that healing is not only possible, but it is transformative only if you give in to the process of you becoming who God wants you to be exactly. Only if you submit to the direction that God is leading you, and only if you allow yourself to hear his voice above your doubts, above these comments that you come across on YouTube, above the trending topics that are out there. Above that, let it be God's voice that leads you, that tells you who you are, that informs you of how your future looks like, and not what other people say because they were afraid to confront what they've been through or what they've seen other people go through. So I made this video to say, yes, don't marry a divorced man or a divorced woman if you are not prepared to do the work of healing in yourself too. My name is Diseto, and I don't want to see no other comments shaming other people for their own brokenness because you don't know how to deal with your own brokenness. Okay? Thank you so much for watching my video, everybody. Please don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe. And if you want to walk this journey closer and closer with me, do join our subscription or membership program. I love you guys so much. Thank you for the support. Yes, I'm giving attention to this one comment, but most of the comments that I'm getting, I know that they're from love and that people are actually healing from this kind of content. And if you want to have anything to add and you want to encourage somebody and you've been through something like this, let us know how you've dealt with it. Let me know how you got to a place where it doesn't bother you anymore. Let us bring each other in and encourage one another in the Lord. My name is Diseto, and I love y'all.